Det står till offret. Men eftersom mannen har svenskt medborgarskap kommer han inte kunna utvisas. Nu stoppar Nederländerna samtliga internationella adoptioner. Detta efter en uppmärksammad statlig utredning som visar att adoptivbarn stulits och köpts från sina biologiska föräldrar. I utredningen som låg till grund för beslutet har adoptivfall granskats från 60-talet fram till slutet av 90-talet. Men
vad ska jag säga då? Ja. Ska du titta på det? Ja, det är ju det. Ja. Vad äter du på? Vad äter du på? Jaha. Ja. Ja. Vad äter du på? Tack. Jaha. Vad har du på den? Vad gott. Ja. Ja, jag åt mackor i morse. Sen så har jag ätit lite skinnuggets.
Har du stekt dem då eller?
Ja.
Har du kokat dem?
Nej.
Har du stekt dem?
Ja.
Har du haft dem i mikro?
Nej.
Ja, jag hoppas på meriter idag.
Jaha.
Du pratar om en historia.
Ja.
Nej, men jag...
Va? Hej då.
fokus på adoptioner från Brasilien, Bangladesh, Colombia, Indonesien. Det uppdagades då fall då adoptivförmedlingar köpt eller stulit barn från deras föräldrar och sedan skickat barnen vidare till Nederländerna för adoption.
Smakade vatten i bajsvatten.
Har den nederländska regeringen beslutat
Smakade vatten i bajsvatten nu.
adoptioner. Justitieminister Sander Decker säger att han förstår
Smakade vatten i bajsvatten du.
att de gör det för att skydda
Smakade vatten i bajsvatten du.
En kvinnlig TikTok-användare vid namn Jessica Brown har gått ut med att hon funderar på att stämma limtillverkaren Gorilla Glue efter att ha använt sig av företagets superlim istället för hårspray. Något som slutade med att hon hamnade på akuten och väntar på att opereras. Den 40-åriga kvinnans klipp är snabbt viralt och har uppmärksammats av internationell media. Det var efter att kvinnan försökt få bukt på sitt hår och hade...
Trevligt att du tittar. Du som tittar. Är du svensk eller är du amerikansk eller vad är du för något? Skriv gärna i chatten så jag ser vem du är.
Har kvinnan nu fått en tillstyrelse i sociala medier och som strukturell rasism ligger bakom hårolyckan. Där användare och debattörer menar att svarta kvinnor känner stor press att göra sina hår mer västerländskt, eftersom de annars riskerar att utsättas för diskriminering. Själv menar Jessica att det inte uttryckligen står att superlimmet inte får användas i håret. Och därför överväger hon en stämning. Det var allt från Exakt 4 nyheter.
Fan, det sätter superlim
Exakt 24 insikt har nu 2000.
Ett superlim i håret.
Vilket gör att vi framöver gradvis kommer att kunna utöka vår verksamhet. Nästa stora mål är 9000 prenumeranter. Vilket ger oss ett presstöd stort nog för att fullt ut bygga alternativmedias första mediehus med nyhetsbevakning dygnet runt. För endast 49 kronor i månaden.
Huh?
I said, I do live out here. I gave her a call when I met her the first time. She said, what's the street number? What's the street number? She said, you don't live out here. I said, I do live out here. So she said, I'm calling the police. So I managed to record on my cell phone. I said, call the police. So I sat down on the curb. The police come, and the guy gets out of the car, and he said, what seems to be the problem? She said, well, I've seen this guy walking around here for a long time. He says he lives out here.
Kan det vara att det är bajsvatten där?
She said, what are you talking about? He doesn't have to give you a street. Okay, so to make a long story short, I go back over to the lady's house where I used to walk with. She gets on the upset. She says, this is the racist incident. I cannot believe this is happening in this community. She said, I'm going to go over there and tell her right now. She said, she needs to send a letter to, I can tell you what she wants. I said, I'm not doing all that. I said, I'm not doing all that.
So what's your question?
My question is, what do you think I should do with the footage? Do you think I should send it into the news?
Or after a while, that when these guys overcome their anger, they have amazing ideas about starting a business, but because they've been told that if you don't get a loan bank or you don't have a 5-year plan,
Små, kan det vara att det är bajsvatten där?
not true. It's the first step. Then all things are possible. But the most important thing is to return to the Father. The yearning that you have, that emptiness, that void, is not for more stuff. It's not for more friends. It is a return to the Father. Because there's no way you can return to God and be angry at your earthly father. So, thank you all so much, right? People around the world donated to Bond at rebuildingtheman.com, or they call 800-411-2663, and you're still committed to doing it the right way, believing that to return to God.
Lots of mess going on. The Capitol Police officers are not confident in their so-called leadership. One guy stepped down, a white guy, and then he was replaced by a black female. And it's just a mess right now. And the impeachment drama is ongoing, and it's all a bunch of drama. This is the end of hour 2 of the Jesse Lee Peterson Show. It is Thursday, February 11th, 2021. Stay tuned for hour 3. Jesse Lee will be right back after JLP. Catch The Hake Report, thehakereport.com/show. The Epic Times reports that Capitol Police are going to hold a no confidence vote in their leadership on Thursday. Many people are being targeted by the Capitol Police Union. It seems like a very corrupt situation over there. Not surprising. I think Nancy Pelosi is in charge of them, but they're not mentioning her. Weak. Black female acting chief Yoganda Pittman will be among the officials the vote is aimed at,
Good for
the
you.
department announced. Pittman became acting police chief on January 8th after a white man, Steve Sund, announced his resignation from the position on January 7th. Sund had stated that he'd asked the National Guard for assistance, but his requests were denied 6 times. Wow. And President Trump had offered the National Guard up to 10,000 troops. You heard earlier this hour, National Guardsmen on the January 6th when the Capitol riot took place. Yogananda Pittman had testified that the Capitol Police Department knew that the January 6th event would not be like any other previous protest, Stop the Steal protest, that is, held in 2020. Quote, we knew that militia groups and white supremacist organizations would be attending, all of whom have been generally peaceful. We also knew that some of these participants were intending to bring firearms and other weapons to the event, and none of them actually used them. We also knew that there was strong potential for violence and that Congress was the target. So she's a liar, or what? The no confidence vote taking place today or tomorrow, Thursday or Friday, was called by the executive board of the Capitol Police Labor Committee, their union, Capitol Police Union. The vote is also being aimed at other members of the department's senior leadership, including Assistant Chief Chad Thomas, Acting Assistant Chief Sean Gallagher, Deputy Chiefs Thomas Bowen, Jeffrey Pickett, and Eric Waldo. And the impeachment mess. Epic Times reports that impeachment managers present no new evidence of incitement. They have no old evidence either, honestly. No evidence, period. This is the second fake impeachment of real President Donald Trump. Jokes of people such as Eric Swalwell and self-important Black Democrat females rambled, pretending to have a clue. They did show a clip of Nick Fuentes, who's a young America First activist in Tacos, and a Black female mentioned him by name as he talked about wanting to destroy the Republican Party, which I guess she thinks that sounds violent, but what he meant was don't vote for rhinos. He's mischaracterizing everything that conservatives do. Yesterday, House Democrats had the floor to make their case that Trump incited the January 6th Capitol siege, they call it. They have no case. First, they've been laying out statements Trump made in the months leading up to that day. Mostly peaceful riot that day. Mostly peaceful protest. That includes repeated baseless claims, meaning valid concerns, that the 2020 election might be rigged, invitations to peaceful protest on January 6th by Trump, and language that seems to endorse extremists. Remember the stand back and stand by about the falsely maligned Proud Boys? And after that, the House impeachment managers focused on the quote-unquote attack itself. Democrats showed new footage, but no new evidence. They have none. And there was those who entered came pretty close to Vice President Mike Pence. A Black Capitol Police officer, Eugene Goodman, ushered Senator Mitt Romney, the rhino from Utah, to safety, which got Twitter buzz. CNN is calling that guy heroic, as if the rhino were in danger. House Democrats continued their case today. Then after that, Trump's defense team talks. Elected officials, meaning phony politicians, are still struggling to process the riot. They don't care about the rest of the country that was destroyed by Black Lives Matter, which they endorsed. Only themselves. What a mess. And Georgia prosecutors are going after Trump. I'm Gene.
I know we can find a way. I know we can find a way. I know we can find a way. There's
De kan själva tänka. Jag tycker Hultqvist är ofattbar. Han sitter och misskrediterar 15% av Socialdemokraternas röster. Jag hoppas nu verkligen också att Sabuni står på sig i sin kamp emot likasinnade i partiet. Så naturligtvis vi tar hennes plats. Det är så det går till i politiken. Vi har sett också en som misskrediteras i media, Ebba Busch. Nu stod det en liten artikel om att nu var hon friad ifrån alla misstankar av oss. Ändå så vet jag att det var hårda bud även i partiet.
Vi har redan kommentarer i chatten här att du pratar om brevet. Att det är det som...
Ja, det är ett brev som är politiskt gynnsamt för vissa.
De har tydligen både kallat dig rasist och snackat inom dig och Erik Stefan nu för den här artikeln. Skriver de i chatten.
Erik Stefan.
Roger Nordin hade tydligen kallat dig rasist eller också antytt att de var...
Roger Nordin. Du ska skriva
det är programledaren.
Programledaren. Riks.
Är det någon som hörde exakt i chatten vad de sa så får ni jättegärna skriva.
Ja, men det är så här det går till.
Och de har bara hört från sidan nu.
Jag har inte hört någonting. De vet inte ett skit. Nej, men det är så här det går till alltså. Det är inte klokt att det ska man behöva kriga för sånt där när det finns så mycket problem i Sverige. Inte en fråga ifrån SD-ledarens.
Should we talk? Let's talk about impeachment first, just a little bit to go over some of these issues. More importantly, we were talking a moment ago. Matt was mentioning that there are many people who were involved in the Capitol, the storming of the Capitol, who had no idea what was going on, and now they can't get lawyers. So I do want to go over that a little bit, but we'll start with where we're at with Trump, because the big news, I suppose, if you care about impeachment, and I find it really, really hard to care about it, is that his lawyers are doing miserable, like really, really bad. And Trump is apparently really angry. We have the story from the New York Times. Meandering performance by defense lawyers. The former president was particularly angry at Bruce Castle Jr., one of his lawyers, for acknowledging the effectiveness of the House Democrats' presentation. Well, apparently the Democrats have put up some, like they're arguing over his tweets. They put up some edited video to make their case. I honestly just think it's a big waste of time because we know what's going to happen in the end, right?
Yeah, it's not gonna. There's not gonna be a conviction, and so the problem that the president's attorneys have is they don't understand what's going on. Is that they are making this very narrow constitutional argument. They're almost doing this in a very bad way, as if it really is something to be decided, as if they were in a courtroom, as if it was truly a case. And it's not any of those things. This is an old-fashioned Soviet-style show trial. But unlike in the Soviet system, you actually, both sides get to do a show. So, and I've used this term before, it's asymmetric warfare. With the left, the Democrats are rolling in here with, it's just the loudest, they know they're not going to get conviction. It's basically just about trashing Republicans, trashing Trump, trashing his supporters, and it's full-on propaganda. And they're throwing everything in there, like high impact video, granted it's edited and it's phony, etc. But then the Republicans walk in and they're like making like a legal argument, like it's some,
Republicans are dumb.
Well, these attorneys, I'm not sure how committed they are to the party because they're Democrats. So I'm just saying, and one of them sued the president twice just a year ago.
What?
Yes.
Why did he hire these people?
I'm not privy to that process, but I'll tell you, I've heard from many people, including very prominent Republican attorneys, more than one, by the way, who have just been dumping on the performance. And the thing is, look, if it's a show trial, you fight fire with fire. You roll in there with all of the instances of the left in provoking riots, like serious riots resulting in people getting murdered, cops being murdered, cities being burnt to the ground, Democrat politicians calling for people to stand up and fight, and you go whole hog. And you can go anywhere you want. You can talk about Chinese influence compromising President Biden and some of the steps he's already taken with his administration so far. You can do whatever you want. It's like it's a blank canvas to just get in there and paint the best picture you can. But these guys, the thing is, I almost feel like they're phoning it in because they know what the outcome is. And they're like, and they're thinking, a year from now this will be completely forgotten because
maybe that's the right thing, and I actually respect that. It's a waste of time. We don't do the right thing. If you walk in and go, Donald Trump has free speech,
that would be brilliant if they did that. But instead, they're doing like a real legal, as if it was a real impeachment, trying to make a real case. They're doing a bad job on it.
I remember looking through Twitter, I forgot who said this, but someone said it was definitely the deep state that made Donald Trump hire an lawyers, which is a very interesting point. The Independent also has a very curious article that reads, Trump inept lawyers draws comparison to Joe Pesci's character in Vinny. If you remember that movie, I'm moving back to the day, I loved it myself. But again, a lot of people are criticizing these people, but more importantly, a lot of mainstream media people are treating this like it's the Super Bowl. Like everyone cares, and in reality, no one really cares.
What else are they going to do? What else is going to happen?
And you would think you would take this opportunity.
YouTube. Ja, nu fick jag en plingare. Ja. Jag får titta på det när jag har lagt på. Ja, okej.
Limit travel to China. That was what was happening when the last impeachment trial was consuming everything. So I wonder, what are we missing now? Because this is what they're completely focusing on. I mean, Joe Biden's weird executive order, like the one that allows for Chinese propaganda, or 52 so far. Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, I mean, but they're bragging about that. They're not trying to. No, maybe it's the electrical grid rule suspension. Joe Biden's allowing Chinese-made goods to be used in our electrical grid, suspending a rule from Trump for like seemingly no reason. And I've actually heard criticism from some people who are relatively, Democrats saying, I understand Trump's rules may have been bad, but shouldn't you review them and not shut them down first? Like, don't suspend the rule, just review it, and then if it comes, you come to the decision to get rid of it, then you do. Isn't it weird to like just immediately snap your finger and say, China, you can build stuff for our electrical grid. We're going to review if it makes sense.
Or more and more U.S. military convoys going through Syria.
What's the status of that? I heard about that. I heard it debunked the Syrian propaganda.
No, there have been several of them at this point now, and nobody's really pushing or asking questions.
Yes, there's been many kind of international organizations that have been detailing large convoys, 50 plus vehicles going into Syria, into, of course, the northeast region where the territory is contested between Syrians, Kurds, Russians, and now the United States that is permanently watching all the oil fields there as if it's theirs. So that's happening, and slowly but surely the reports that are coming in is that more and more troops are on their way there.
It's always American troops coming through Iraq. Is that what it is?
Well, it's not just Iraq. There's also Jordan. The United States has bases all around, not just Syria, but of course Iran there. So there's a lot of troop mobilization and movements, not just by the United States, but also Russia in that region as well. That is also doubling down and sending more troops into that region.
I wonder what they're going to do with oil when the economy's shut down and nobody's using it.
Yeah. That's another big factor here economically, especially with America becoming energy independent. Now under these new restrictions by Biden, it looks like the United States is going to have more of a kind of appetite for oil. So this is why some people are saying we're going to be going back into the Middle East. I think it's far beyond that. I think it's far beyond natural resources. There's bigger things at play here, especially the geopolitical hegemonic power play that's being made between Russia, China, and the United States and the Gulf states.
The shipping lane through the Suez Canal is not to be understated. That's of course the central blood flow of the United States shipping.
Yeah, if you look at major conflicts throughout world history, they have taken place on shipping routes. So shipping routes are essential. This is why China also expanded its territory into the South Chinese Sea, because it's along a major trading route that, of course, usually sparks the largest conflicts. When we look back at history, it concludes first the stopping of trade.
That's interesting because the U.S. is running drills right now under Biden in the South China Sea.
Yeah, with Japan and Australia doing war games. Of course, kind of saber rattling against China, who has been also doing a lot of consecutive war games, especially in the month of January. In January, out of 31 days, for 30 days, China ran drills and ran over the airspace of Taiwan, specifically drilling for its invasion.
So sorry guys, but this sounds really important, but we kind of impeach them.
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's more very good point.
International war is meaningless.
No, forget about that.
Actually,
So he's getting impeached?
Wow. You mean he already got impeached?
Right.
Oh,
Second time impeached?
Yeah. Now they're going to try and convict
I
him.
can't even joke about this.
And who is this guy you say? They're trying to impeach the president of the United States.
He used to be
Donald
Trump. Say his name with you guys.
Donald
Hold on,
Trump.
hold on.
It's all about Donald Trump. He's not the president. He's playing golf, and they're like, we got to convict this guy.
I think that before Trump, there wasn't that much news. I feel like maybe I'm desensitized to it. I can't tell. I'm in this warp world.
You got pulled into a vortex. We've all been.
Yeah, they were making so much news with his tweets, and now it's just kind of back to normal. So there's not that much news.
Well, this is Pelosi's priorities, but I will tell you that if they weren't doing this right now, their fundraising would just.
I mean, even NPR was about this immense legal battle that's happening in Florida right now with a local county trying to kick Trump out of Mar-a-Lago, saying that he can't live there permanently. I'm like, why are we obsessing about this? Why is NPR talking about this? And they went on for a full 30-minute segment. I love listening to NPR because I actually really like their science and technology sections when they talk about those issues. But politically, it's very interesting to see their perspective because I love to see how other people think. And they are nonstop obsessing about this impeachment. They're thinking it's the Super Bowl, it's a major sporting event. They were covering it live, play-by-play blows. And when you look online, there's not even a cover. No one really cares. Everyone's over it. Everyone wants to see. But this is the big moment that we're in because everyone wants to see what the Democrats can do for them. We voted for the Democrats. They got elected. They're in there. What are you going to do for me? What are you going to do to make my life better? People are waiting there and they're like, we got Trump here. We're gonna beat this dead horse even more. And what they're saying is very simple. Yeah. I know, America, you voted for the Democratic Party, and we Democrats are going to do everything in our power to get you exactly what you need in these trying times. By impeaching the guy who's not president anymore. Hey, put on the clown makeup, drop the circus tent, put on the music, and then a little car drive around, and people are swinging around the trapeze, and like, ooh, Donald Trump's getting impeached. Don't look over at the decimated small businesses. Don't look over at the mass evictions that are looming, because we've got a big old pile of bread and circuses right here for you on the TV. I mean, the American people are hurting, just like I brought up in my introduction. Failing wages, collapsing economy, loss of civil liberties, huge healthcare costs. I don't see any of the Democrats dealing with any of these issues at all. Of course not. But there's going to be a lot of disenfranchised new voters because, I mean, how many votes did Joe Biden get? He got more votes than any other president in American history. So there's going to be a lot of people going, I participated, I was a part of the system, I got evil Trump out, now things are going to be better. And now they're going to be slapped in the face with reality. No, here's corporate globalist America screwing you, family-friendly show. I got other things I want to say here. We're going to save it for the post show. But they're ramming you with their corporatism, and you have no other thing to do than submit to them getting their own way. And it's ridiculous and it's sickening. We could talk about Mandalorian or Wanda. I still want to talk about foreign policy. I love foreign policy.
I want to talk about the fragility of the political establishment at this point. It seems like there are no value. You know, when a land in your body becomes vestigial, it's no longer used or needed. It seems like they're just, like you said, meandering at some point.
Well, no, they are siphoning away our money to use for their lifestyles.
Partly because they're incapable of handling the money, because they've given the power of the money over to a private company, and they're just letting the Federal Reserve run with it. So they can't fix monetary policy. They can't even audit the Federal Reserve.
But let's not underplay when they're like, I must have $10 million for Pakistani gender programs and speedboats in Sri Lanka.
Giving themselves raises, of course, they're good at that.
The raises thing, I don't really care that much about.
That's not that. That's right.
What, to get a raise? I
give themselves a raise with more money.
Well, so the problem is there's no real way to solve the salary problem with Congress. Like Andrew Yang said, give them $1 million so they're not incentivized to work for lobbyists. But that wouldn't change anything. The lobbyists just offer more money, the companies offer more money. And some have said, make it so they can only make as much as the median American job. And then they'll be taken lobby. Because there's no way to solve that problem. I'll tell you, the bigger problem is when they're like, we have to help America by sending $500 billion overseas during a pandemic when people's jobs are destroyed. We'll give your dollars to someone else in a different country with different rules and less lockdown, or what?
We desperately need a new industry. I don't want to derail this review conversation, but I think a lot about graphene, and if we can make America like the graphene industrial power of the 21st century, I think that will.
That's just one small component.
It's like the steel. It'd be like if we were the steel industry of the 1900s. Now we'd be the graphene industry. I guess we have to do it. With these politicians that don't understand it, it's not going to happen. No new people.
Well, I think impeachment is dumb.
Sounds like you should run for office, my friend.
Yeah, that's right. The graphene party. And the Fed. His slogan. And it's smeared. Thanks for checking out this clip from the TimmyCast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com.
The trailer for the Patrice documentary just came out.
Right. Yeah, let me see that.
the Patrice documentary. It's going to be on Comedy Central.
All the time it's a good all the time. That was part of his charm. Oh my God, I'm finished. See that white woman there? I'm done. My career's over. She look like she writes letters to the governor and shit.
Patrice was a genius who constantly shot himself in the foot.
This crowd stinks. I don't even see myself as an entertainer. Like, and I realized I don't really like entertaining people.
He said, be the truth at all costs.
I thought I would have a white slave, but I thought that big old fat white girl will warm up better. Get upstairs, Susan.
You know, he used to say this thing about killing is easy. Once you learn how to kill as a comedian, killing is easy. Everybody in the room was laughing, but that's not what he wanted. He wanted the truth.
Yeah, he wanted the truth. That is the truth right there.
You learn how to kill and then you learn how to be a comedian.
Yeah,
That's why they say it takes 20 years to develop.
He wanted nothing to do with the business. He wanted nothing to do with the business.
It's disheartening.
It's terrible. When you talk to him about his pitch meetings at Comedy Central, which is ironic, this is on Comedy Central. That motherfucker couldn't get one pitch past Comedy Central because he couldn't sit there with these phony lumps of shit and not say something. Well, just talk about Bert Kreischer and his Twitter and things like that. That is a man who couldn't shut the fuck up when he knew damn well to shut the fuck up.
There are a couple comics that just will not, I guess you could say, sell out.
Yeah.
And because you really should sell out. I mean, there's something behind it.
Yeah. Unless you somehow compromise some of your ideals, you're never going to get anywhere. You can't be 100%. The closest I ever saw was Louis early on in his career. Like Louis C.K. was really just like, fuck you, I want to do it this way. Well, then we're not doing it. Okay, fuck you, I'll do it myself.
Well, he changed the game.
But
he played ball a long time.
But he did. He played ball a long time. But when fame came knocking and real success,
it was two girls.
It was two girls, and you might them and the jerk
were knocking to get out.
When fame came knocking, he threw the lock on the door. Oh God. Yeah, but here's what happened after the scandal. He had to make concessions that I know he didn't want to make. The apologies, the shit. Like, he went out to clubs and people were pissed that club owners like Nome at the Cellar were actually having him in. Oh, I didn't hear that Louis was going to be here. I want my money back. Fuck off. But then Louis even knew, oh, fuck, now I got to kind of make concessions. So everyone gets put in that position. Patrice, I don't think I ever saw him make one fucking concession and do something he didn't honestly like want to do. He would just tell people to go fuck themselves. Or he'd do it, but he'd let the person know he didn't want to do it. You suck. He doesn't like you. This is that. Like, that was Patrice. And when Jim Norton said shoot himself in the foot, he was constantly doing that. Spike Lee told him that.
Spike Lee
told him that.
Yeah, 25th hour.
Yeah. Put him in that. He's like, what is this guy doing? I want you for other projects and shit, but you gotta play. You can't walk into the producers and tell them they're all piece of shit Jews that should fucking die in the Holocaust.
Well, he probably
he just said horrible things to people.
He probably walked off Furry Vengeance and realized they didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, that's another thing, you know.
I mean, now and then, yeah, everybody's got to take something that just pays the bills.
He would take that shit and know what it was, but his true fucking love.
Well, there's nothing wrong with it, really.
Like, he loved getting on a stage and doing stand-up and giving the people new shit that they hadn't heard and listening to them howl with laughter. That's what he gave a fuck about. Not making sure that he makes a lunch with the person he's going to pitch an idea to. And all. Like, the business part of it, he fucking hated that nonsense.
Well, Elephant in the Room, and I stand by this, is probably the best special ever. At least it's on par with a lot of them. Like, it is a mind-blowing funny special, and if it wasn't largely improvised, it sure as hell seems like it.
Seems like it, right?
Yeah.
And it was that was pure Patrice, and it was like that was him comfortable on stage. That was him having a great fucking set and comfortable with himself on stage. Because there are times, especially early on, you'd look at him and go, "Yeah, he's just annoyed up there right now, or he's fucking pissed, or something." But man, he was just smooth as silk when he recorded that one.
Well, yeah, and he was talking about getting like the HBO half hours and late night. He's like, yeah, they all came late.
Yeah.
So by the time he got them, he didn't give a shit to have them.
Yeah, exactly.
It didn't matter to me.
Didn't care. At some point, you reach an age because how old was he? 40.
When he died, I think what late 30s or early 40s, right?
41. 41. Yeah. That's a pretty significant time in, especially a comic's life.
When he was in it for like 22 years.
Yeah. Because you're going to start thinking like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, is it working? Am I making any headway here? So you'll want to whittle the nonsense down to the bare fucking minimum and get right to the shit that's going to work for you in a career. So all that other nonsense has to go away. And he loved being on stage, and it showed. Elf in the room.
Like, that's a good point. You do watch people that mail it in, and you do watch people that are doing something for the audience.
Yeah.
Not in the sense of entertaining them, like he said. You're just doing it. You're just dancing.
Dude, you're a comic in your mid-20s. You have plenty of time to take stupid meetings.
Oh, yeah.
Write, to have dumb pitch meetings, and talk with this guy, and travel out to somewhere where you know nothing's going to happen, but you'll meet someone that maybe you'll do. Once you hit your 40s, you start going, I don't have time for that fucking nonsense. Like, I have to do what I think is best for my career. So you stop kind of listening to a lot of other people and do what you want to do. But Patrice was pretty pig-headed the entire time. But when he hit that, when he was starting to border on 40 and get into that area, he really said, I'm just not putting up with this shit anymore. I'm not dealing with it.
No,
Some early doctors were the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not dealing with that bullshit.
He's like, hey,
I might have helped in some insulin dummy.
we got all the Reese's cups.
Oh my God, yeah, put down the goddamn candy bars.
Just bought a house, too. I remember talking about that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's living large.
No, it's like when I came on here with you and then with you and Artie, there's just you guys came from a thing where I would listen as a fan, and that's when you kind of learn the back and forth on how to be on your toes and what makes you a good improviser.
Oh, yeah, or else you're dead.
Fucking dude, it's so intimidating. Especially the first time I came into me, I'm just like, oh fuck, because all I know is the horrible things that you've all said.
Oh, we've all said horrible things about each other. No, that's true.
No, but there's a point where you just want to be funny. You just want freedom, and you just, it's not so much, because I took more shit than I think a lot of people did, and then when I got here, I did.
Yeah.
It's like, I took a lot of shit from people, and you just get to a point where you're like, I don't fucking care.
Yeah. I don't care. Some of the greatest times was sitting in a room with those guys, and like you're getting piled on. You're the target of the moment. And if you could say something that makes the room laugh and turns everyone's attention to the person you just shit on, there was no better feeling than seeing guys like Patrice and Colin and Norton, and all those motherfuckers, Boss, DePaulo, to see all those motherfuckers genuinely laugh and then turn their viciousness on the person you just shit on. Like, you're like, holy fuck.
Maybe
It's the greatest thing to ever happen.
leaving thing in the world.
Yeah.
Because we all put up a thick skin with this part of us.